All right, make the motion that we enter back into session. It's 8:32. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Which one of you wants a second? Okay, Jason seconded it.
You can second it, I got a chair.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, carried and approved. All right, moving forward with old business, the old elementary school building. Both Rick and myself are meeting with J. O'Connell Associates Wednesday? Is it Wednesday, we're meeting with her to discuss the grant opportunities for the village. And then we'll report back on how our meeting went and see, what they'll charge, what would be the best route for the village to go. So we'll follow up with that. And then maybe she might come to September for a meeting where we can finalize everything, hopefully move forward with obtaining grants. Proposed zoning law amendment.
That was distributed to the board. The planning board has the proposed signing law, an application, and their community mission statement. Those were sent out to the boards.
Yeah.
They wanted it to go to the attorney, but the boards have said that they want to review stuff before it goes to the attorney, so that's why the boards got it prior to. So I'm just waiting for the board's direction on whether you want that to be reviewed by the attorney, if it's something you want, you're interested in adopting, or if you think it needs work before it goes to the attorney, whatever.
Did anybody read the email that was sent out for that? Get a chance to?
When did you send it?
Last week.
Last week.
Can't recall.
Okay.
So now the town has to make a decision on this as well. It's not just the village.
Right. It's for the town and the village.
Okay. If we all can make sure that we review it, and then if we can correspond via email and just say we're good with it. In years past, has it gone to the attorney just for final review?
The last time zoning law, I think, was probably changed was 2002.
Okay.
So there hasn't been any amendments to it that I can think of.
All right, so then we'll just all brush up on that, and then
Prior to the 9/14 meeting?
9/14 meeting, we'll
Okay.
get that taken care of, and that can actually be off the list. Woohoo! Water project, Pet McGee Trail, water line easement, we already discussed that. Trash pickup.
I reached out to the town of Ashford a couple days ago, Friday, and nobody's returned. So I'm gonna follow up tomorrow with them. And does anybody know of another village or town that does big garbage day or anything like that? Because the only one that I knew of was Ashford or West Baylor.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean,
Just go on, I don't think they're
Go on,
involved
does it?
enough with it, right? Don't they do something?
The big
Yeah, they
folk
do.
day or whatever.
yeah, they have I think they do it twice a year as far as that. But I mean, they also have their own contracted service for it where, they have, Waste Management, I believe, right now, or somebody that handles it. It's not their own DPW.
I'll just Google it, see if, surrounding.
Now, were you working with Jay on that?
No, Jay was supposed to reach out regarding something else too, and I haven't gotten any emails.
All right, will you follow up with him on
Yeah,
that?
definitely.
And we'll report back and continue on with that.
I'll email tomorrow morning.
Okay. Police ticket revenue. Rose, can you inform everyone what the town board decided?
The town board looked at the information that was submitted, and they made a resolution and resolved to reimburse the village of Cattaraugus for the cost of providing a court officer for the town of New Albion Court per intermunicipal agreement to be drawn up.
Did they discuss at any point about how much they would reimburse us for that? Like a night? Are they talking an hour? What are they talking?
My understanding is that they're going to, whatever it costs for the court officer to be in court that night, they would reimburse his hourly wage. So if he's here, however many hours he needs to be here for court, then they would reimburse the village those funds.
Was it half the funds or all the funds?
My understanding was the cost of providing a court officer, so it would be all the funds.
And don't we already though receive, excuse me, money from the court? I mean, money from the town for
We
having-
received 3,000 from the town for the rent of the building.
I meant for the officer to actually be here present during court. Do they not get paid?
No, we pay them.
Do you know typically how long court is?
2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. I guess it depends on the night.
Is it twice a month?
If it's 3 times a month, first, third, and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So it would depend on whether it's an ADA night or if it's just a vehicle and traffic night or a dog night.
So you're looking about 6 hours a month?
So you're talking roughly $936 a year. What is everybody's thoughts on that?
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
What more are you gonna get?
I mean, I know there was talked about bringing back the village justice, but from what I've been talking to from past boards and back in the day when they got rid of it, and just my own thoughts is just, I don't see that it's feasible for what it would cost us to do it. It's gonna cost us more to have a village justice and the fees associated with that than what we would bring in revenue.
Well, I mean, if we had court once, because that's something I've been brainstorming, if the town wasn't really gonna work with us on this. Because essentially what I was hoping it was that we could get roughly $5,000 a year from the town to reinvest in the police department to help with upgrades, to have some capital to work with them, you know, buying vests and equipment, so on and so forth. And even at that point, $5,000 isn't a whole lot, but it's something that we can reinvest with the police department nothing's been done with. Yeah, $936 is better than zero, but if we were to establish our own justice, if we said we had it once a month, so say we had, you know, just this rate, if we were able to pay a justice $300, pay a clerk $200, and pay a prosecutor $100 a night, maybe $200 at most. So that'd be $700, $750 a month for the justice. Now there are costs associated with equipment, correct, from the state? Do you know?
The New York State Justice Court Fund, this is their equipment that the town clerk and town justice use.
Which they have to pay the state to use, correct?
I know there's an SCI program they pay for, but I don't know that they pay for equipment. We haven't gotten a bill for these if we need to pay for them.
Or is that just why the state takes such a cut from
Probably.
fines because of
Yeah.
using
I don't
their
recall
equipment?
paying for court computer equipment. That's something I'm pretty
We
sure the
checked the
state
J too,
provides.
I don't think it's necessary to have a prosecutor.
Well, it depends on how the money gets allocated back to the actual village and what gets.
I mean, the other thing is you gotta remember who we belong to. Yeah, we take money away from them, let's say, how are they gonna make it up? We still belong to them, and so, you know.
But as a village entity, I mean, it's not fair that we provide a service and then we don't get any funds, we don't receive any funds back from
No,
that.
but I'm just saying, it's like what we make back, are we gonna have to kick back to them in taxes as taxpayers? You know what I'm saying, if they lose 5,000, they might wanna make that up, so, you know, then they.
What are they gonna do? I mean, they're gonna establish their own police force? I mean, from my understanding is that
We
the
probably
trust,
still have to pay them, I imagine.
what? Well, I mean, that would be up to the town with their own budget, that's not up to us, but as a taxpayer, I mean, then the town would probably lower the cost of a justice, probably lower the cost of the clerk. I mean, they wouldn't have court as many nights, probably.
And then I'm saying is they'll lose money, we could possibly raise our taxes. And these taxpayers lose out.
Well, the taxpayer's losing out right now, with not receiving anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's
we're-
all going to the,
We're getting double taxed, is what I'm saying. Town residents aren't. Village of Cattaraugus pay. We pay village taxes, we pay town taxes.
right, town residents have higher town taxes. than village, because you have village tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still
Which
don't
is
wanna have to
equivalent.
pay a higher town tax because of it.
But it's still pretty much equivalent to what the town is.
I don't know. It just seems like a lot.
I think that, you know, really what you need to do is, why did we go out of that business? You know,
That's what-
basically, and I think we need to go back through our records and find out.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at, is I
Yeah.
heard because it did not sustain itself.
I
Yeah.
think right now the town is losing money at it. And I don't see it being something we wanna get into.
I think we need to look at the history of it and then run the numbers. And I think if we look at the history, find out why we got out of that business, and then run the numbers, we'll have a better understanding of it. And then we should be able to find out what the true costs are going forward, to get back in that business, and does it really make sense? And so I just think we need to do some research here, and we might say this is not a good idea.
When I spoke to Shannon, he said that, I think it was last month, might have been 2 months ago by now, but the town brought in about $4,000 in court revenue. Out of that 4,000, the town got back 1,400 after they paid the state their cut. So let's say that we split it. We each get $700, okay? The court, I think the town justice makes 12,000 or something a year.
12.5.
You know, then you got the court, the clerk, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other, so now neither one of us would make that.
Just using those numbers,
That's what I'm saying, I don't see the
if we
need.
make 700, we make more by charging by the hour for the guy, and getting paid by the hour for the guy
Right.
showing up in court. We get 900.
Right.
You're saying we're only got, if we do this.
Well, that's 700 a year, or a month is what
A
I'm
month.
saying, is
Month.
what we, if they split it with us.
Yeah.
But if, you know, if we didn't take the 1,000 they're offering and
Yeah.
paid out our own,
Gene, do you know, financially speaking, you've been treasurer for 40 years, so, do you know, can you enlighten us what the history was in regards to that and what?
I
Back when
actually
you were
don't
walking
remember
school.
the reason that we got out of it. One reason though was the training that they had to keep up with. It was just too hard for the individual to keep up training. And other than that, I honestly don't remember.
Do you know when we got out of it? I mean, I remember when we got out of
early
it.
2000s,
Early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
not a
right
lot in
now,
the minutes as to why.
If you're talking of paying the village judge and so forth, we didn't budget that, so we don't have it in this year's budget. So,
Rose, could you just find out when we got out, and then if it was Jody or if it was Eileen, we could just go talk to them and find
Okay.
out. I think-
Yeah,
I want to say it was maybe 2004-ish.
so that would be Jody.
Jody.
Yeah, it would be Jody, you know, I've got a good relationship with her, and, I have no problem, but just confirm when that was. If it is Jody, I'll go talk to her.
Yeah, it was Jody then.
And Jody's got a mind like a steel trap, she knows what, she'll remember that, and,
Get more facts and make a,
yeah, she'll give me the facts on that, and I think that would help us with our decision-making process. I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea, but boy, we got out of it for a reason. And,
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
to see what the reason was and.
you know, and maybe just chasing pennies to spend dollars.
Sure.
And I also know Shannon's been doing a lot of good things since he's been in justice.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the general consensus I hear, and he's working on a grant that will benefit us, because they're paying us rent. I mean, and that grant is supposed to update the heating and cooling in here.
Yeah, he actually brought it up at the town board meeting that he's working on the JCAP grant, and some of the stuff they want to do would be physical improvements to the building, and they wondered if they should be talking to the village board to get approval from you guys before altering the board that
Well, I
or the
spoke
building
with
that they're
Shannon,
they're renting.
on multiple times when I first took office, and we talked about, you know, one of the biggest things was improving the police department and the revenue for them as well. And he went over all the financials with me on, you know, how much it costs. But we also discussed how it could possibly be affordable as well, and maybe the town should look at rebudgeting it as well. I mean, should they be doing it 3 nights? Can they reduce it down to 2 nights? Can they just do a power session of 1 night a month? I don't know. But there are a lot of costs. but still $936 a year. I mean, it's more than anything we're getting now, but it's not a whole heck of a lot to reinvest in the department itself. So, and then he talked about the grant that he's applying for, which is amazing. That's a huge benefit. And it's no attack on anybody. It's just doing what's right for the village taxpayers, that we're spending or allocating $50,000 as a budget for our police department. How can we improve it, and how can we get more resources for our officers and to improve their daily functions? I mean, we don't provide bulletproof vests.
Did you talk to Shannon to see how many cases are involved in the village compared to outside the village though?
Well, I'm just looking at what our guys are doing based on their reports, what they're writing up, and all their tickets.
I did print off reports for the town board about how many tickets were written, or how many cases were open and closed, village versus county versus state sheriffs, and from those reports, it appears the village police do write a significant number of the tickets.
Yeah. And also, I mean, but anyways, we'll do some more research and conduct due diligence.
Due diligence.
Due diligence.
You got it out. You got it out.
I'm a big right there. All right. Moving on, senior building. Have we heard anything from Mr. Brucker in regards to the testing yet, or will he have that?
No, he came up last week and got the key from me to go get the samples, but I don't know if we're at the point now, because isn't it like a week or two?
It took a couple weeks.
Yeah, so I would think by the 10th meeting.
Refresh my memory,
I
you're
don't
supposed to
think
get more
it's
samples?
the 10th.
The tile.
The
On
carpet?
the carpet.
Oh, the carpet,
Oh,
sorry.
The carpet shouldn't be an issue, but just on the safe
Well,
side.
yeah, I've never seen the carpet this way on top, but I don't think there's
But-
ever been a carpet with asbestos on it. I wouldn't think.
Wouldn't think. Don't play. This is Village Cattaraugus.
But who was supposed to get a hold of the Department of Labor though? Did you get a chance to do that yet, or?
That's a big ticket.
Because we gotta find out who can do the work.
Right.
Well, first we wanted to see if we were going to move forward with looking to get this taken care of, to make sure, because if it was the asbestos, I was under the assumption that it was going to be quite costly, so. Just saying if it was, because of how to take care of carpeting and where it needed to go, Department of Labor being involved. As far as my understanding, I haven't contacted Department of Labor.
If it's in the carpet, then
Well, regardless, it's gotta come out anyway.
No.
matter how we approach it.
he said it could be.
It could be encapsulated, I'm saying, we gotta deal with it no matter what.
Right.
You know what I mean, so even if it's not under the carpet or in the carpet, we still got that section that is asbestos, because it came back, what, 8%?
Yeah.
So there is work to be done, so.
Well, was anybody specifically supposed to contact Department of Labor?
I can't remember.
I'm looking back in my notes to see if there's anything.
I don't remember.
I can't remember if he was going to or not.
Do you remember? Did you need to? Oh, you weren't here for that.
Yeah, it was 2 meetings ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was the last meeting.
August 10th. August 10th, I have where you were gonna reimburse him for expenses for the testing again.
Right.
But I don't see anything on contacting Department of Labor. I didn't write it down.
I remember talking about the Department of Labor 2 meetings ago,
Remember John?
when we found out there was asbestos on it.
Right.
And I thought you had said you were gonna talk to the Department of Labor then, and you were talking about who can do it.
No. I have them on my list to contact in regards to it.
I mean, it's not a big deal, I'll get a hold of them.
I mean, should we get a hold of them now to see what the process would be and in regards to all that?
Computer,
Only if it's in regards to all that.
moisture barrier.
Thanks, appreciate it.
What was the other one?
In regards
Mayor
to
to
what?
contact Brenda to inform Gary, John, Department of Labor, is what I have written down.
So Gary and
Stuck
John
on regards.
were to
Gary and
contact.
John is what I have written down for Department of Labor from the July 27th meeting.
Gary and John were too. I thought I dropped the ball, I didn't think I had.
I
And
thought somebody
then-
was gone.
Okay,
And then Bo, Jay was gonna work with you and Rick on the electric car charging grant.
Electric.
Yeah.
Electric car charge. Oh, yeah.
What are you thinking? You think it's electricity just coming down? Oh, how do I handle this?
That electric car charging thing, if that gets put in with the meter, is that gonna be tied to whoever is putting out that grant? You know what I mean? They're willing to give you, say, $2,500 to make your standards this way, but when you do it this way, lo and behold, the meter that thing goes to is through that company, so they're making the money, we
No,
are.
it's through NYSERDA, it's through the state. So it's through the energy portion of the state on how they're allocating funds. These are just permits. I believe the big thing of the permit is that,
It was a follow-up on the solar panel.
no, solar panels already taken care of.
No, I know.
So,
but
okay,
was
it
a-
was
Remember, Bob, it's a
another,
big election year coming up.
another option through the same
Exactly. It
Right.
was another opportunity to.
Right, get $2,500.
energy research and development or something.
Something
New
like
York
that,
State.
yeah. So if you could please make sure you follow up on the next meeting on that though.
That's what I
Because
was
it's
looking
okay,
at.
yeah, that's it. Alright, and
I thought I'd be emailed.
Rose, will you contact both John and Gary to make sure that one of them, probably John, contacts DOL to see the process for that and that he can report back on the next meeting?
But if it's kind of a carpet, then it's not a big deal, just a tax levy. There's not a whole big concern, is there?
No, it's the same process we gotta do in the kitchen area, that's what I'm saying.
So they're contacting Department of Labor regarding the encapsulation process?
Well,
Who can do it?
Who can do it? Oh, man, there's a bunch.
Oh, yeah. Who can do it?
Okay.
Just anybody.
If our guys can do it, which, I don't know.
I don't think our guys are gonna be doing that.
That's gonna be expensive.
Let's move on to new business with, well, did anybody else have anything to add to the senior building or any of the old business?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, alright. Gene?
Just a minute, didn't we have at the last meeting, didn't I say, why don't we see if we can get Gene at the very start? And I'm afraid to say that again, because he's at the very end, so.
Don't you follow your C though? A and B come before C.
Yeah, so, again, I'd like to say that, I'd like to see Gene move up further so he can get home early, so. He deserves it after 40 years, so.
Some vacation.
Well,
Probably deserved it after 10. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well,
It's noted. It's noted.
No, but move on.
I'm not exactly sure what you want me to do. Several meetings ago, I gave you guys a listing of the different reserve accounts and what makes them up. I sent you all a report. Rick had asked for a shot of the different accounts at the end of June, and so I sent you all reports for the end of May, the end of June, and the end of July, showing what is in each account and so forth. What do you want me, do you understand the different reserve accounts that we have?
I do. I want to make sure that everybody understands how the money flows and how everything works, because there's been discussion in regards to, well, we don't have money for this in this account, well, this is how we work.
Well, I mean, you have your budget, and which each different category has a dollar amount. And I sent you an expense account
Mhm.
through the middle of August showing what has been spent out of each one so far. Like you were talking, you know, the judge and stuff. We don't have a category in there anymore for that. So if you were to do something like that, you're going to have to make categories, you're gonna have to come up with money to put into those categories. You have a contingent account which we use when an account gets overexpended. On the water and sewer revenue, that comes in 4 times a year. So your budget might say that you have 40,000 or 20-some thousand in an expense. However, you don't, in the bank, exactly have that amount, because it comes in 4 increments. And that's why normally in water, because all of our bond payments and so forth come due early in the fiscal year, we've had to transfer money out of general into water and then pay that back. It's just because of the way our expenditures hit our revenues. I did send an email out today, I don't know if everybody had a chance to see it. We've had an issue for the last 4 or 5 years at least with the police and the gas in their vehicle.
I did respond.
I'm sorry?
I responded.
Okay, I didn't check my email.
Okay. I just,
I'm not working, so.
all I did was tell the board that Mike is aware of the situation and the officers were supposed to keep a logbook.
Yeah, but they were supposed to do that before, and then,
Yeah, I've
We
never
haven't been-
received anything in order to break it out for police gas. So if the board wants me to, I will be happy to let Jim know that he needs to turn that in for the next meeting. And do you want me to go back to June 1st?
I mean, if they don't have a log, then how the heck are you supposed to? Well,
They're supposed to be
Where-
keeping a log.
Where are they getting their fuel from?
Bill,
DPW.
So, if the village knows how much fuel they use, anything over that is gotta be used by the police department, correct?
My understanding is the monitoring system is not functioning.
they had some software program that was supposed to do this. And
Why
maybe-
can't, we don't have a gauge on a pump?
I don't know, Tom.
The pump itself, I mean, you can manually reset it each time you do it, you know, so that's how we keep track on our,
Logbooks for the,
yeah, and well, our
For
timesheet
each
slash
time?
logbook, you know, if I put 20 gallons in the pickup today, I had it written down, 20 gallons, whatever, that reset each time. It's supposed to be, from what I understand, accessible by a computer with the right program on it. I'm still trying to track down with Jason what program it is, if we've got a copy of it somewhere.
There's another set of numbers under the gallons. Usually on a fuel tank,
If not,
when you pump it, you got the big numbers tell you your gallons you're pumping,
right.
but underneath there's a grand total.
Right.
No.
Even when
No.
Jason was here, that program wasn't working, I don't
Right,
think.
but I remember, it's been on my list, we've been talking to him about a lot of things with water recently, but, he did mention something about, I think he has a disc, or found a disc or something, just gotta get that moving, so hopefully, maybe I can come up with an answer.
there was
like
some
that for you.
difficulty in getting the company that works with the software down here.
Yeah. I'm guessing what this would be able to do is we could change it up, so, like right now, when I fuel up the vehicle, I've been using Jason's old passcode, which is, I mean, they're just default numbers, so it's not that big of a deal. I think potentially you could change that, so I could change, I had my own, would be like the last 4 numbers of my phone number now, instead, you know, something like that, we could assign one for the police department. I don't know if you get some sort of breakdown if you use this program. I've never
Years
seen
ago when
it.
it was functioning, that's what
Yeah.
Jason printed off the report and we were able to break it out.
So, potentially, I will try and get moving on that with him and see where I can get it, that might help solve your problem.
Well, I'll get in contact with Jim and see if they have. If not,
Who's the officer in charge tonight?
well, the officer in charge now is Jim.
No, who's on duty?
Who's on is
Dan.
Dan.
I mean, what we can do is then, if they haven't done it, just say if they haven't, I don't know if they have or not, but if they haven't, then can use the next month that they do put in, and then do an estimate and say we do an average for each month that it hasn't been, and that comes out of the police budget.
Yeah, but whatever the board wants to do, I'm just pointing it out that there's been an issue for,
Well, I think that's the easy fix for it, if it hasn't been done already.
How long's the software issue been going on?
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Why can't we just get a regular gauge on the pump to have two, it has the gallons you're pumping and a grand total underneath, and you're done and over with. If the village is keeping track of their gallons that they're pumping, the only one else that they're getting any is the police department.
Why can't we just have something simple as just a notepad? Ignore it.
Well, I
That's
mean, we
what's-
have, my understanding is we have the monitoring system and the software. There's something, it's not talking to each other.
Well, I'm not sure, because I haven't tried it, but there's a cable on the desk in there that goes to somewhere, and I'm thinking it's out to that pump. I don't know if there's some sort of wireless deal, or if it's buried, or what exactly.
Lift the connection and see if it works.
Yeah.
But I'm not against what Jason said, just get a gauge, and probably there might even be something sitting around with some other municipality that we can pick up and just.
We have them in our pickups at work, we have in our fuel trucks. All they are is it's a hand pump or a pump that's got a grand total on it plus.
So the software thing don't work, right?
We don't know. I'm not sure. Right now.
Would it just be easier and just be done over with, just to have a gauge on there and then you're able to.
I don't know, you've got your control unit, okay, you punch in your vehicle code or your PIN and then.
Yeah, it's like what the county has.
Yeah, but then, so then you're talking about on pump itself, I don't know how easy it is to throw a gauge on there the way it's set up, for sure.
Could you research that, Tommy, because a gauge would be, and I agree with Jason, maybe simpler is better, rather than.
It might be a lot more.
After 3 or 4 years.
Well, I don't know how thoroughly that was pursued, like I said, I'll try to figure something out.
Yeah, I'm just saying, research that and see what it costs us
Do it.
and availability and just see which way to go, but,
Sure.
I mean, 3 or 4 years is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's been brought up numerous times.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure the computer software issues, or the system was put in to stop theft. Because you gotta have a PIN or whatever, but it could be just as simple as putting a regular manual pump on there and putting a padlock on it.
Right.
Either way,
Well,
it should be,
Okay, also,
addressed
if
in the
you're
job.
really talking about simplicity here, leave everything alone and have them do just what we do, is reset the pump and write down how many gallons you use.
That's all well and good until they
Somebody
write it
doesn't
down.
do it.
What?
Well,
That's all
I don't
I'm
know
doing.
if they're writing it down or not. They were told to keep a logbook, and they
Right.
agreed to keep a logbook. I just
But it
haven't
doesn't-
seen a logbook.
Human error doesn't always,
I'll get in contact with Jim and I'll see where we're at and I'll report back to everybody and let them know if it's, they have or haven't. We'll get it taken care of. It's not, it shouldn't be that big of an issue or
Yeah, pretty easy to resolve.
it's an easy,
Yeah, because if the
Solution.
guys are logging their gas and
Right.
these guys are logging their gas, then
Well, again, same situation, I don't know, is everybody writing down every time they pump something out of the tank? I do. I
Well,
can't speak
look,
for anybody
that's-
else.
okay.
Good
Right.
for the camera.
Okay, is there any questions?
I had a couple. Actually, I got one main one, I guess. And I hate to put you on the spot. But with what we're doing, I mean, I know I'm one of the big guys that's worried about the budget. And then the reason why is, I'm thinking long term, next year's budget, this, that, and the other. We got a $10,000 pay increase to John. Okay, and I understand that that was kind of a stipulation if he didn't want to lose what he made on his overtime. But now that he can't work the labor, now we're gonna be probably paying out another $10,000 in overtime to somebody else so that there's no violation of labor law. That's 20 grand. My calculations were about $7,000 in training so far this year. I mean, that's almost $30,000. That I don't believe was in the budget, correct?
didn't we reduce our 2% by taking the pickup away from our last superintendent?
yeah.
Okay, but now aren't we losing it 2% by upping the training money and whatever else we do? Aren't we losing that 2%?
Explain how. I mean, in regards to and Gene, if you could answer this, I mean, back when Jason was superintendent, he was about, what, 54,000, something like that. John was pretty much accustomed to making about 50 to 55,000, and then you have Greg that's roughly around 45,000 now. This is before benefits or anything, this is just labor.
I honestly don't know what they made because Rose does the payroll.
But Corey was hired in
I-
December when they did the budget, so the budget was centered around Corey making 46 once he got his water license. So 9,000. But what I'm saying is, it's almost $30,000 in the space of a month. Well, the training's going on a little longer, but what I'm just saying is, are you concerned, Gene, for next year's budget, with the numbers that we're going through?
I'm concerned that we may be going over in certain cases. I'm concerned that we're transferring already from the contingent. So yes, there are, because as I explained to Rick this evening, he asked a question. If the board, if for some reason you spent all the money in the budget
Mhm.
and you had no ending balance, come next year at budget time, you'd have to raise everything by taxes, basically. And so in that respect, this early in the year, I'm a little concerned, yes. I've been asked by people if we came into windfall with all the trees that were taken down and et cetera. And I mentioned trees last meeting, but none of that came out of the tree expense last meeting for trees. That was all taken out of chips, according to the voucher.
Why?
I'm sorry, you have to ask John. I cannot answer that. You've spent 13,000 in chips through the middle of August. That money you spend out, you pay out, and then you have to reapply for it to get it back. I don't know what John's intentions are for chips. Normally that's done during the summer, whatever is spent. So yeah, I mean, there are some concerns that,
Well, I mean, in regards to concerns, I mean, so,
I mean, I don't wanna call you out, but let's just say, I seen the vouchers for the trip to Lake Placid for you and Jay, I don't know, was it next month?
yeah.
And I understand it's for training, purposes, but it's a golf resort in Lake Placid, it's gonna, the grand tally on it's gonna be about $2,000 by the time you guys are done with your mileage expenses, your meals.
Well, the meals are already included with the hotel,
Okay, but your mileage, so you're still talking,
mileage.
without the mileage right now, it's $3,100 for 1
If
week.
you guys drive supper, you're
And
gonna
yet we're bitching,
400.
we're bitching that the town only wants to give us not even $1,000 a year, but we're burning through it.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, so we are carpooling, so it saves that we're not having more
So it's
for,
200.
so it's not for that. But I mean, if you wanna talk about wasting money, I mean, you wanted to have a survey on a piece of property that would cost about $4,000 or $5,000, that would have been absolutely pointless. So, I mean, to say that you wanna point fingers at people that don't wanna, that aren't fiscally responsible or not looking at the budget, I mean, that, to me, that's just pissing money away. With going to NICOM, you're networking,
Well, wait a
looking
minute.
to bring money back.
I have no faith in Nikon. Let's
Well,
go there.
hold on,
I think it's
hold
a
on.
waste of time.
Hold on.
I honestly do.
In regards to NICOM, it's how you talk to the attorney, how you present the information. Every time I have spoken to NICOM, they have been, the answer has always stayed the same. I've never had a difference in opinion, difference in answer. And it could be on how maybe you portray something and maybe they look at it differently that way. But NICOM is the only source that we have as far as training. It's the only place that we can go.
Well, we can
But
call
what
them
is-
up, but I'm saying, there's gotta be other avenues to go than $2,000 a person for 4 nights away.
I didn't sign the vouchers.
Plus plus the Lake George trip, that's what I'm saying, we're like $7,000 when Jay went to Lake George.
Well, he went out to Saratoga Springs and
Okay, that's
and
an
it
hour.
cost what, $2,000 and he's bringing back 5,000 because of what he learned there?
But we've already spent that.
We just spent.
We're not putting
2,500
anything into the village's
Something
pocketbook if we keep spending it out on training, is what I'm saying.
How do you expect anything to get done and how to better the village if you don't invest money, Wirt?
Dan, it's my money, it's everybody's money.
Okay, how are you gonna improve the village if you don't invest it?
I pick up the phone, look at, we're not investing it.
Really?
That's
So you
what I'm
don't
saying.
think networking
Nothing
helps?
here is
You
permanent.
don't think that going out there and getting the latest news on grants and support, I think that helps a lot. I mean, you had 2 legislatures that were here at the last meeting stating that mayors should go to that so that they can bring back a bunch of information.
Actually, what she said is we all should go to it, so I can pack my golf clubs, all of us can go, and there's
Who says I'm going
$10,000.
golfing?
I'm just saying, it's, what I'm getting at is that
Well, no, you're making it
$10,000.
personal that it's gonna be a vacation.
No, I'm
I
saying.
can't help it if it's at a nice location, but the point is
The
to
point is
help
that
the
it's
village.
just expensive is what I'm getting at.
My
It's
point
not
is-
whether you're going to do whatever, it's just expensive. And
My
it's
point
too
is, I don't
expensive.
care who was going, I think it's a waste of money.
It is.
That is a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying,
Considering what used to be spent and to what we're spending already. I wasn't a part of the vote. I didn't know anything was going on. I went back home. If I would have known that vote was gonna happen to raise that, I would have stayed and I would have voted against it. I can't see spending that kind of money.
Okay, well, we're at difference of opinions then, that the two of you agree that you're on some philosophy that we're just pissing money away and not bettering the community, where I believe myself and Rick and Bo believe that we're doing what's the right thing to help grow the village. I
It's
mean,
just not the Stone Ages anymore, Dan. I mean, there's other avenues to reach out to get information.
so were you here then on Saturday when Congressman Reed was here to promote his, he had a town hall meeting?
No, I was at work, I'm sorry.
Okay, but there was a great opportunity. I took the time out to be here for the meeting, to make sure the doors were open. I networked with him, and that he's gonna work with us and help us when we go apply for grants to see if he can make sure that the money is able to come here.
And that's absolutely what we should be doing.
Absolutely, but I mean,
Wait a minute.
but I'm letting you know though that where my focus is and what we're doing as a board is to have this village progress instead of being stagnant and become dismal. That's the whole point. And you have to invest money to make things better. It's just like any business. You're just not going to get by and continue to exist on just doing the bare minimum. That's exactly all you're going to do is exist. If you want to thrive and become a place that people want to live, you do have to invest.
I
Well,
understand
there's-
that, but after March, we all might not be here, other than you. And then after the following March, you might not even be here. So where's the investment then?
Here's my
So
thing.
that point is then that we're laying the groundwork so that whoever does take office continues to keep going with it. That's the whole point. I mean, if everybody is working towards the same goal to better the community, then as long as the groundwork is going and the wheels are in motion, it's so much easier for them to complete and get going with everything. We're starting so many things up from the ground up to better the community with grants and looking for revenues from money and with networking and having some political ties and help our community. That's the whole part of it.
And I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying I'm a very conservative person when it comes to money. And that's what I'm looking at. If you had not had your accident and you would have went with Jay to Saratoga Springs, that trip would have been about $3,000, possibly $4,000. So then the grants that he brought back, we would have made $1,000 on. That's what I'm saying. It's all these, what we're bringing back is not productive to what we're gaining. That's my personal feeling, I guess. It's just.
Well, I can't change your personal feeling to help
Here-
you understand the
as
logic
far as-
that's behind
As
it.
far as the meeting you had here last Saturday, I didn't come because I was kinda upset because I didn't have any idea about the meeting going on about the water. And then Jake comes in here today. I have no idea what he's talking about because I didn't have any idea about a meeting, or I heard about the meeting, but I had no idea what it was about. So then I come in here and I gotta start asking questions and making me feel like a jackass because I'm lost. Because I don't know what's going on.
So you asked questions, and that's why Jake was explaining everything.
But why weren't we invited, I guess, to that meeting?
Because it was a committee between myself and Rick. If we have more people, then it becomes, again, a public meeting. And you
So
can't
you
get things
post it.
complicated if we have everything we meet with somebody. That's why we have committees. That's why
Aren't
I
we
have
all
people
on the
that
water
work with
committee?
me.
Aren't we all on the water committee?
We're all on the board to work together. It's not feasible to constantly hold a hearing or a meeting when we're meeting with Mark and Jake Alianello at some specific time. Same like what Rick and I are gonna be meeting with the grant writers. I mean,
I understand, but what I'm getting at is, okay, Jake and
but what does this
the
have?
tree guy talked for an hour and a half. If we were all brought up to speed, we wouldn't have had that tonight. We could have met solely to hear about the water project. My understanding, we can still meet, we just can't discuss and spend public money. So we can still hear Jake out.
But no, even if
No, it has to
three
be
of us are
advertised.
here, it's a quorum. It's a
Well,
meeting,
well,
so it's
then
gotta be
advertise
posted.
it, is all I'm saying. It's not that big of a deal to advertise it.
That's why they create committees of work,
The
so
thing-
that you have two people go forward and then they
Then
report back. That's
We're
why.
we are, every single one of us is on that committee is what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is I came in here and I hear all this money being tossed around about spending money to apply for these grants and everything. I had no idea what happened in this meeting that I wasn't a part of, and now it makes me think, we're spending money, what are we spending it on, why are we spending it? So that's where I'm coming from, do you understand what I'm saying? That's why I was.
So you think Jake, the guy that's been working with us for the past 3 years, is gonna take us down a long path?
No, I'm not
It
saying
ain't
that.
got nothing to do with that.
It's
the
no,
thing
it's
is-
because I didn't communicate back to them in regards to how the meeting went. Instead, we come back to a board meeting since it was the
Well, I was
previous
the
meeting.
I didn't even know what the
asshole
meeting
when we
was
were
about.
calling up people and not keeping them, but I mean, even an email, hey guys, this is what's going on. It was just out of left field.
Well, that's why it was explained to you tonight. But in regards to the fact of the matter, in regards to the budget, what questions do you guys have for Gene? Because we're getting off topic in regards to it.
Well, I asked Gene my question, and that's what brought me up to the training. We're spending a lot of money on training.
Does
The
it
man
scare
that
you?
had-
And he said yes.
Yes, the man who handles the money is telling us he's got concerns.
In the long run, I
Yeah.
mean,
Maybe not this year, maybe not the
Well,
next
let,
year.
let Gene speak.
I mean, in the long run, yes, because if we don't have an ending balance, is what I worry about.
Right. And have we raised taxes in the past because of our budget?
I'm sorry?
Have we raised taxes in the past? Have we been in a situation like this in the past? Ever?
We haven't transferred this early from contingent like we have, as far as that goes. Now, I have a fund and balance, funding and fund balance. I'm got a little excess because I'm conservative when I do my balance.
Yes.
And one of the problems I have is, and Rose can attest that Rose always gives me her figures, but it is hard. I've never received figures from the police department. I've asked, I don't know how many times when it comes to getting my ending balance. And I'm gonna have to ask John, being brand new, because I need estimates come January, what they think, because they know what they plan on spending, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are
And
things that we need to
So,
bring up to the.
it's just that with the 2% and
Now
I
that,
sent you an email, I don't know, a month ago saying that it might be less than that this year. You know, it's,
that 2%, we got the 2% for last fiscal year, correct?
we were under the 2% cap.
Okay, now, going at it this year, are we gonna be under that cap?
Oh, I think so, but I mean,
The way we're going,
you're only 3 months into the budget, so I can't,
you can't say higher.
I mean, you don't know what you're gonna have for
We don't have a
snow.
crystal ball, right?
And it would be on the new budget.
Yeah, the 2%. would be
It's
at-
not what you finish out the previous budget at, it's whatever you set the new budget at, is what the 2% is reflected on.
This, let me ask you a question, Gene. This sheet here that we gave you, and the reason I've asked for numbers is try to get my arms
Right.
around how things work.
Right.
And business positive cash flow is king, okay? And that's what you try to do, is give us positive cash flow all the way through. Now, you have different categories like total government support, total public safety. Those are budgets, because you've got total expenditure versus the balance. The balance is what you have budgeted, and then the total expenditure is what's happened so far this year. Okay, and the year is based on January through
No, it's based on June through May.
June through May, okay.
That's a fiscal year.
It's not a calendar year. Our fiscal year runs from June 1st to May 31st.
Okay.
Now, you'll see that in June, there's not a lot of money going out of this budget. And that's primarily because most of the June bills are still for the last fiscal year. So that's why under June, you'll see some expenditures, but not a lot. Because most of the vouchers you paid in June was for May.
It's always a month after.
2015, right.
Like this, insurance contractual, the budget was for 24,
Correct.
and June we spent 20,000 whatever.
Right.
So there's
$3,700.
3,700 roughly left.
Right.
Now, is that excess that we won't have to, or is that gotta be paid out on some other insurance?
Depending on if you buy new equipment
Oh, okay,
or whatever, you know, then you'll have to have other insurance.
okay,
Otherwise, that money will go into the ending balance.
okay.
And that's how you go constant balance. Well, depending if we go over on other aspects.
Yeah. We always go over in certain categories.
Mhm.
And then we end up transferring from one to
Because typically, how much do we have as an ending balance yearly that it's been in the past, say, 5 consistent years?
in your budget, it shows that. I don't have my budget with me, but I think you're looking at, we end up with like 80,000, somewhere in there.
Rolling over typically.
But let's say you went down to 40,000, that means that's 40,000 more in property tax that you have to collect, or make cuts.
Right.
I guess when it comes down to March, it boils down to how much you want to increase taxes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll start off with a preliminary budget,
Right.
and then I tell you how much tax rate's gonna be, and then you decide if you want to make cuts and go back to each category to see where we can cut. I mean, does everybody understand the reserve accounts though? I mean, that's what I wanted to get through back in July or whatever it was I sent you.
Explain that.
I mean, what do you need to know? I mean, we have money set aside for this building. There's approximately 7,000 for this building to have repairs to. You have street equipment for if you need to purchase equipment. We have 9,000 in an account that when the bush lot up here was sold, if a building was established on it, then that money would be turned back to the individual that bought the property. There was a time frame in there. I believe the time frame has expired, but we still have that account set up because the board hasn't decided what to do. You have money set up in a fund that when the bush lot, the water and sewer lines are no longer connected to it. So it was an agreement that you would provide water and sewer back to that lot. So we have money set aside for that. You have money set aside for the senior citizen building,
9,900, right?
about 9,000, yeah, 99. You have a trust fund from the Herbert C. Rich Fund from many, many years ago that all you can spend is the interest.
What does that amount to?
Right now, I think it's like $800 or $900 we have in interest, but it's primarily just for park expenses, flowers, etc. The principal amount of that is $15,000. 2,500 is also set aside, and that money has to go to the fire company. That money gets sent to the fire district every year. So that's the reserve accounts you guys have. So,
But I mean, in regards to with having an ending balance this year, I mean, we received a bunch from FEMA for the projects that we're working on, and we're still going to make, or well,
but you guys set that aside for road repairs,
right.
so that's not gonna figure into your ending balance.
But the reserve accounts.
But that'll go for reserves though,
It will
correct?
go into reserve, but reserve doesn't affect your ending balance. That's money set aside, Future- use.
Yeah, it's a
It's not-
savings account that is reserved for only
Yeah,
that
it's
purpose.
not part of your
But when
ending
that purpose
balance.
expires,
No, that's always what it's used for. So I mean,
well,
can you just, and I think I'm along the same lines as you, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, say if we went over by $1,000, okay, from what the budget was set, or say 10,000, let's use substantial numbers. Are we able to take $10,000 from reserves and move it over towards,
No.
No.
Because that money is set for certain reserves. That money is set for, like I said, this building.
That much of I
Senior
do,
business.
that's why I'm being an
So you
asshole.
can't make a motion though
You
to.
have to have a public hearing.
Oh, wow, damn.
That's what I'm saying, that's why I've been complaining about what we're spending, because we
Well,
don't want taxes to go up.
Well, taxes are gonna have to go up.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have to go up ridiculous.
Well, you're talking typically, what is it, 3% typically is what it is every year for taxes?
No, you got a 2% cap, and last year it was very small. It was
Well, last
almost-
year was very small, but I mean,
Next
going
year.
year after year.
If you wanna go over that 2% cap, then you gotta apply to the state and get a very.
You gotta pass a local law to override the tax cap.
Right. Well, I mean, multiple municipalities have done that. I'm just saying though, in regards for, say, taxes for next year, I mean, you're looking at, I mean, what, it could go up to the 1.75%, is that right?
And I don't wanna,
That's what it's about.
this is gonna sound really mean, but I'm just telling you. I pay taxes, so I know what the bills when they come in. Sometimes they're startling.
You know?
I'm not calling you out for not being a taxpayer, I'm just saying, it's
Well, I don't
concern.
know what that has to do with anything. I mean, I pay bills just like anybody else does.
No, you don't pay taxes in the village. You don't own property in the village. So what I'm saying is when these come in, I pay a town tax, I pay a village tax. I pay about $2,000 a year.
Well, taxes in New York State are a lot higher than probably where you're accustomed.
No, I'm talking about here, I pay $2,000 a year just for the school, the town, and the village.
Yeah.
And I'm not counting income tax and all that, so we don't wanna see these have to go up, because
But
we're,
in order for it to continue to progress, you're looking at, you're probably gonna have to raise it, 1.5%, 1.75%, whatever, be limited to the 2% that Cuomo has set forth.
Yeah, but why can't we be looking at ways to cut spending?
that's what, yeah.
Well, Gene was making a point earlier, that if you don't raise your taxes, then all of a sudden there comes a point where, because of just looking at, you have normal inflation. Okay? So then all of a sudden, you have a large bump. And that's why you do better to just keep
You gotta, you can't, and I hate to say this, but you can't lower it. Because
Right.
we've done that once or twice, and the next year it comes
You
back
pay
and
for
it
it.
bites you in the butt.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
But what hurts too with the village and board is you're looking at taxes, how much they increase. But, okay, like you're just, tonight when we were talking about the water project, you raise taxpayers' water bills, you raise the taxpayers' sewer bills. So now you got all three that hits
Yeah.
the taxpayers. So it's not just the taxes that you're looking at,
It's
but
substantial.
it's all three.
No, I mean, and that's the thing is continuing to improve. I mean, each year it gets more and more expensive. It doesn't get lower.
Oh, I
And
understand.
so, like for this past year, I mean, granted, yes, having the budget be raised by 0.1%, whatever the hell it was, that doesn't help though, like you said, going years forward because you got to play catch up. And now people are gonna be like, oh, my taxes went up so substantial. Well, if you continually have this rise, it's not such a huge burden. And in regards to water, I mean, probably once the water goes up, I mean, people will probably come in and complain. But I mean, water isn't free, and we
No.
it's something that we have to do. And water is actually quite cheap here in the village compared to most other places. It's actually quite affordable.
I'm not saying,
And the sewer benefit's its own thing.
But the
That's
thing
gonna be
is,
a fun
if you
discussion
got-
as well. But
If you take it and look at everything we do in the village, whether it be gravel, blacktop, concrete, everything goes up in cost.
Yeah.
There is where you're gonna have your increase for your budget. But we gotta look at other ways to cut and save to try and back that increase down, so we're not, instead of a 2% or staying under the 2%, we're not going to say 5%. If we're not cutting, so far, I don't see how we're saving any money.
all I'm saying is it has nothing to do, I understand taxes have to go up, I get that, I'm just saying, our training costs went from a few $100 a year to well up into, like I said, we're almost to the $10,000 mark with training. And it's just a concern.
where are we at $10,000 for training?
What I'm saying is Jay's trip to Lake Placid with
How much
expenses,
was it? That was like
probably about $2,000 with expenses.
I don't remember, but I was thinking it was,
900 and
I
something.
know back in like
It was like
May,
I
I
wanna
checked.
say it was under 1,000, but
It
that was
was.
last fiscal year also.
Okay.
That was under, it was like 750 or whatever. I'm pretty-
So that was May, so that ended up being last fiscal year.
Okay. But we're still up to almost $5,000 is what I'm saying right now. This trip to Lake Placid is, we're gonna be around 4.
I mean,
Then there's the
that
trip
alone
to
is almost.
Binghamton. There was a
No,
trip
I
to
mean, the
Binghamton
trip to Lake
for-
Placid is 12. So 12,
It's
24.
$3,100 and some change just for what we've already paid out, and you're gonna turn in your mileage at 57 cents or 57
No, it's
and a half.
1224.
Plus 500, that's a piece for you and him.
It's $1,200 a piece.
Yeah, so that's 2,400 plus the 570 that.
The registration.
To register it. I
Okay.
did the math, I did it, it was like 3,100 and some change.
Okay.
Then you're gonna turn in your mileage.
Now,
Well,
Yeah,
at
yeah, that's a hell of a
that point in
hike.
time, what it comes down to is what you feel is valuable in investing. I mean, for as much time that I've been putting in with the village, I think we're making a lot of progress. All of us have put time in. I think we're making progress, and we're bringing things that come to fruition. I mean, we're finally talking about seeing a grant lady. We're talking about having a tree policy to help make us be more, what's the term, flowering
Flowering Village?
flowering village. I mean, we're looking at building commerce. We're talking. I mean, we got a lot of things that are going in the positive direction before, where it was just stagnant and we're just existing.
Dan, it's still stagnant though.
But it takes
We're
time
hitting
to
it
get the wheel rolling. We're getting forward with the water project. I don't know. I see that we're doing a lot.
I do,
We're taking a lot on at a time, and we're making good progress. And I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of what our board has done, even though we're not always on the same page. But we're
No.
making progress, though.
I'm not gonna argue with it all, I just wanna say for the last thing is, it's just that I feel that it's unnecessary expenses of money that technically is not ours.
And you have the right to your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to help you get my understanding and see the logic that investing in
I think
that's
he
all.
does, he just disagrees with it. Simple, I mean,
Alright.
it's fine, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
what's next?
Well, does anybody have anything more for Gene, or Gene, do you have any other concerns? I mean, I understand the budget, I understand how all this works, I just wanted to make sure that everybody else understands. I was under the misinterpretation, though, that I thought you could take from reserve and apply it to,
You know how many reserve accounts? I need to grab the paperwork. How many reserve accounts do we have?
that's from the previous meeting.
5.
5.
And the reserve, total balance, if you add all 5, is about,
Well, actually 6 now that you did the one for the road repair. Probably 27, 36, 66,
Is there
200
4?
and some thousand. 250
Really?
between, well, because that road repair was 168 between the 2 FEMA checks you just got.
Mhm.
I think it was 168. That doesn't show up on the report for July.
Which is good. Does anybody have any other questions for Gene?
No.
have a good night.
What time are you leaving?
I'm glad we went.
I wanna pass a resolution that we get Gene in early next time.
I agree. Gene,
Do I have a second?
Where are you going? Where are you going on vacation?
South Carolina.
Were you just in South Carolina?
Huh?
Were you just in South Carolina?
You were.
Yeah, but you just had vacation, didn't you?
No, I haven't had vacation yet this year.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I'm going down to sit on the beach.
I think we were just talking about it.
Good for you.
Yeah, have a good time, man. Do some fishing.
thank you, Gene.
All right.
Apologize for having it so late, but hopefully next time we can get you in and out quicker. And you're right. yes.
You always get in and out.
Flip you
You
around.
don't get it all.
Good guy.
What's
Thanks
it
a lot.
mean to discuss
When
about-
When are you leaving for the South Carolina?
Friday.
Friday, have a good trip.
Thank you.
Rose, what did we need to discuss about the employee handbook?
You wanted to revamp it.
I hate to do this, but we need to go into executive session or ask some questions.
Well, we'll put the employee handbook, table that for,
Yeah, we said,
Da-da-da, thank you.
you know I wasn't talking about it too.
Jason's salivating over there, look at
all right, well, before we go on executive, let's close the public meeting here, let's close the hearing and all that, be done with that. All right, so, make a motion to close the, do I have to make a motion, or do I just state that it's closed?
I believe you need to make a motion.
Make them
All right, make a motion at 9:36 that we close the public hearing for the new water law. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
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 Yeah.
It's unanimous, carried and approved. Yes, work did. And before we go into executive, I guess I make the motion that we approve and implement the proposed water law 1-2015. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye. Aye. It's you, everybody said aye, right?
Yep.
It's unanimous, carried and approved.
Nice.
Did you second?
I did.
You did?
Bo second that one, I'm sorry.
Nice. We have, see?
All right, and then it is 9:37. Jason made the motion to go into executive session
Personnel matters.
in regards to personnel matters.
I'll second that too.
Wirt seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you say aye?
With, can I
With
leave?
you
Do you
here.
want me to, okay.
You here. It's unanimous, carried and approved.
They don't see you back there anyway.
All right, Tom, if you can close the door, please.